The New York Knicks, Logan, steal a win in Boston from the Celtics. What did you take away from this?
What a game. I couldn't. The most shocking thing to me about this game was the fact that the Knicks won this, without a really good Karl Anthony Towns game. Like, I thought he had a good game early, but he gets in foul trouble and then just puts up a stinker. Like,
Third quarter was one of the worst quarters I've seen from a star level player this year from Karl Anthony Towns.
dude, it was embarrassing. And it really didn't matter who they put on him and if it was Horford, if it was Holiday, if it was Derek White. Like, it was weird. He was doing really good with some of the mismatch attacking stuff early, but he
The
gets into
doubles gave him hell.
he gets into foul trouble. He starts getting trapped, and it's just strange. Like, I would have thought for any game, and shout out Bridges, shout out Anunoby, shout out everybody else, like, for picking up the slack. But I thought a prerequisite for any Knicks win in this series would have been Cat having a big game, and that was not the case. I thought Mitchell Robinson did a really good job. I thought they were better in his minutes than they were with Cat. He was battling on the glass. Anyway, the biggest thing also on top of that was the Celtics offense to me. I think their offensive process has to be much, much better. Shout out to the Knicks for capitalizing and coming up big. Boston misses 45 threes in this game. That's an NBA playoff record. And I have been critical of the Celtics offense in the past. If you go back and listen to any of our old shows from a year or two ago and how they can be overly reliant on that, I tend to think that is also a narrative that gets overplayed with this Boston team because it's a superpower of theirs where they can make so many of them that they just completely dominate the other team. But it's also a feel thing. It's like, sure, that's a superpower, but at certain parts in the game, if that shot stalls out, you got to be able to manufacture easy offense from other areas. And I thought they did a really poor job of attacking specific liabilities on the court. There wasn't a lot of process. They're hucking up a lot of threes. But this is a Knicks team that, for the majority of the time on the court, you're going to have one of these three players out on the floor: Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, or Mitchell Robinson, all of whom I think you can attack one-on-one. What are the Celtics also great at doing? Mismatch attacking. Use your superpowers, man. This is like Superman saying, nah, fuck it, man. I'm not going to use my laser vision. I'm going to actually,
I'm gonna try to be fart man.
yeah, I'm going to be fart man,
It's
bruh.
not your brand. It's just not your brand.
What are you doing? You're super strong. Just
Stop farting.
exactly. You have Jalen Brunson on the court. Put Jayson Tatum, put Jalen, somebody attack him. You've got Cat or Robinson on the floor. Get them out in space and make them defend you in space. Shout out Robinson, though, that late contest on Tatum when they did get the switch. But again, Tatum's settling there. Like, I thought the Celtics' offensive process was really bad, and this was just a really, really ugly game from the Jays. Straight up. I expect more from them. And this should have been a game they put away. Carson, I texted you mid-game. I was like, man, the Knicks are sorry. They're chopped. I wrote them off. I thought this game
Yeah.
was over, and then they stormed back because Boston just stalled out. So the Jays have got to be better, but more importantly, their entire offensive process has to be better. Again, I think this is traditionally a narrative that gets overplayed with this team. This is a really great offense. It's one of the best offenses in basketball. They've got elite talent. Also, Porzingis isn't out there on the floor. I think we have to mention that too. He goes out in this game with an illness.
Yeah.
I think that was a component. Even though he didn't have a great round one series, I think it's important to mention. But the process has to be better. I think they need to be better at attacking specific things in the Knicks' defense. And Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown just have to be better straight up, man. Great win for the Knicks. Again, man, these are swing games. Game one of the series. This is a big deal. Shout out the Knicks for stealing this one, for not giving up. And shout out Jalen Brunson for doing what he does best in crunch time. But I think the Celtics kind of gifted this one to him, man. This was a really bad, this was a choke from Boston, quite frankly.
It was a horrifying performance by the Celtics. And I do want to give the Knicks credit because I thought their physicality and intensity defensively really picked up and was really good in the second half of this game. But it was an embarrassing offensive performance by Boston. And I think that you touched on a lot of the key points, but I've got some specific numbers that really crystallize just how bad it was. First of all, Boston missed the most threes in a playoff game in NBA history. They missed 45 threes in this game, Logan. They shattered the previous record, which was actually Minnesota with 40 just a week ago against the Lakers, and they found a way to win that game. The Celtics did not find a way to win this one. So the three ball was horribly off for them, and their stars were terrible. In the second half, in overtime, Jayson Tatum was 3 of 13 with 3 turnovers. Jaylen Brown was 2 of 9 with 2 turnovers. Like, they were just as bad as it gets. And you're talking about the offensive process. They settled way too much. I agree 100% there, but they were actually targeting those weak points a decent amount. Like, Tatum kept on having Brunson's man screen for him, and Brunson would show, but Tatum was only interested in hunting that pull-up three, and the pull-up three was way off for him today.
Back him down. Like, that's what I'm saying, dude. Just like, you're almost a foot taller than him, Tatum. What are we doing?
And off switches with Brunson, he's hunting the step back three. Off switches with the bigs, he's hunting the step back three. I did think Brunson defended him quite well, actually, off a couple switches late in this game, and was moving his feet well, was being physical with him out on the perimeter, and kind of forced Tatum to settle for a couple jumpers. But that's where, if I'm Boston, if I get that switch, I'm willing to reset a bit and try to get Tatum post position, because that's where he really has his advantage against Brunson with his size and strength. But he was just doing way too much, jacking up threes when his three was terribly off. Like, down to the last possession of regulation, you're 4 of 15 from deep, and that's the look that you hunt. It was just really, really bad process from him. And then Jaylen Brown in the first half, he was playing some really nice bully ball on Jalen Brunson. And in the second half, he fell in love with the three ball. And he's been a well below average jump shooter all year. We've talked about this. It's been a consistent problem. He was 32% from deep. So that's not good offense for him. He goes 1 of 10 from three, and he couldn't beat Cat off switches. Like, he was settling. He was not getting good looks, and he had a couple of bad turnovers late. So I did think the Celtics absolutely could have done more to exploit their advantages against Cat and Brunson. I also thought those guys just defended better in the second half, like significantly better. Boston only got 5 points off 15 isolations in the second half and overtime. So their strategy of like trying to go at those specific guys didn't work.
Though, but you know what's also frustrating about Boston's offense? It's not just that they settle for the threes, and you know, it was that the offense stagnated.
100%.
I felt like too, dude, like nobody's cutting. Nobody's moving. There's no off-ball screens. There's no like nuance. It's literally 5 out with a guy isolating at the top of the key, and it's such a, I don't know, man. It's vanilla. It's like you're not gonna. No defense is scared of that, man. They can just stand there and wait for the shot to get put up. I just thought it got really, really stale, and I expect more from the Celtics.
What I would say is normally they are exceptional at that. I mean, they're as good
Normally
an isolation team. They're the best
but you
in terms
gotta
of
have
exploiting defensive weak points.
Again, man, I don't know. It's a feel thing. I just feel like you got to have a counter, or you got to have a, you know, I'm going to go set a pin down or a back screen for my boy over here in the corner, and we're going to get something. Like, the offense
What I would say is
stagnated.
You have to penetrate. Like, pause.
Hey, yo. I agree, though. I
you
agree
feel like you're
100%,
creating
bro.
separation for your pull-up jumper, okay, that's fine. But if you're missing every single one of them, like, get the drive and kick game kick-started by getting past your man and creating an open catch and shoot look for a teammate. Those are better shots than Tatum and Brown
kick the ball,
jacking up pull-up threes.
Or work it. You know what I mean? Kick the ball down on the low block and let's get something started. Like, it's just a lot
But
of...
I like them attacking mismatches. Like, I can't be critical of them going at Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. They just have to be way better at it, and they have to have more variety in their attack when one aspect is so terribly off. So they melted down. Like, I put a vast majority of this loss on Tatum and Brown for the Celtics. Obviously, nobody shot well from deep for them. And like their whole shot selection, man, there were a couple of Drew Holiday threes that he put up that I hated in this game. Derek White didn't shoot well. Al Horford didn't shoot well. Like, they had an exceptionally bad 3-point shooting game, but their process also sucked. And on the flip side, like, you're dealing with Jalen Brunson in the clutch, man. If you're going to be this sloppy and let them stick around, I like Brunson to outplay Tatum and Brown if they are going to be super stagnant, playing iso ball, settling for their jumpers. Meanwhile, Brunson is always going to be able to carve out a pretty good look for himself. And he was awesome for most of the fourth quarter. He had a couple turnovers where I thought that Boston threw a couple of nice looks at him where they confused him with like some soft doubles, but he nailed back-to-back step-back threes over Horford, kind of torched him off a couple switches. That's not an easy thing to do. And Boston was just really, really sloppy. So I do think if the Celtics just clean up their offensive process and they shoot better, both of which they can do dramatically better than they did in game one, I think Boston can win some of these games in a blowout. But if they're going to play like this in the clutch, Jalen Brunson is going to be better, and he was. And that was a big part of the Knicks escaping with this win.
Do they need Porzingis to win this series?
No. I think Porzingis would help because I think this is a really good matchup for him. Like, he torched the Knicks in their last meeting. I think he does a really good job of punishing Cat for not being so good guarding out in space, and he's just such a lethal shooting weapon. He wasn't playing well before he left this game, but like they were also kind of trying to force some passes to him against mismatches, and they just couldn't really even complete some entry passes. That to me is an area where he can be effective attacking mismatches in this matchup. He's normally great there, but the shooting is really, really valuable. But even without him, man, I mean, they still have a great shooting big in Horford who's super switchable defensively. Like, they should absolutely still win this series comfortably. And if they don't shoot themselves in the foot as badly as they did in this game, they will.
Yeah, the Jays in the second half, man. 3 of 18, 2 of 14 from deep.
Just terrible.
Celtics got outscored by 16 points, man. I mean,
yeah, it was some of the worst
stuff.
Basketball that they have played all year. I do want to give props to OG Anunoby for shooting the hell out of the ball. I thought he was excellent. Josh Hart secured the Knicks a bunch of extra possessions in this game. I thought that was big. Deuce McBride injected some bench offense. So, like, the Knicks obviously played well to win this one, but this one did say more about the Celtics just playing way, way, way below their level, and they have to clean that up. And I did think, like you said, they did a really good job on Cat. Like, they were guarding him super well with wings, which is doubly to their benefit because they're guarding Cat well, but then also that allows their center to roam, like, especially when it's KP, if he can be parked in the paint and helping off of Josh Hart, like, he can be so impactful as that interior defender. So that was great. They were being super physical with him. They were rattling him. He was 2 of 8 with 5 turnovers in the second half. Like, he was just terrible, totally lost his composure. So that was the one thing that really went wrong for the Knicks in this one. And I am concerned about that if I'm them going forward, because we saw some similar issues with Cat down the stretch of last series where they're guarding him with Tobias Harris, not an actual big, but Tobias Harris is allowed to be super physical and handsy with him. And you're forcing Cat to try to beat you consistently as an inside the arc scorer. That's where you can get some offensive fouls, some turnovers, some forced runners that are tough looks for him.
He's still really inconsistent. I just don't like, that's still the knock I'd say with Cat, man, is I wish he was more consistent. He doesn't have a high baseline. There's a lot of volatility with Cat's game, and he can give you some really great performances. And this one was just ugly. Like, the way he started, man, I was excited. I thought we were in for a big Cat game, and then just melts down. 1 of 7 in the second half for him too, man. Him and Bridges both were off in the second half. But
I like how we're saying slightly different numbers for the second half, and it's because my second half numbers include overtime. That's the sort of detail that makes a difference in this business, Logan.
Cat's got to be better, man.
Yeah, he's got to be way better. The Knicks can't win this series. I'm just going to come right out and say that. No. Boston has way too much margin. They are still going to be able to get those mismatches that they like, and I think they're going to be able to generate a much better shot quality out of it going forward by making a more concerted effort to attack off the dribble, to stop settling. And like, dude, I mean, if they shoot 28% from 3, they win this game, and they played an F game. They played a horrible game, and it still went to overtime. They're just way better as a two-way team. And like, even though Brunson was impressive, he had to work. Brunson had to work. He shot 4 of 14 inside the arc, and he had 4 turnovers.
Like, it was really his three-point shooting that kept him going. I just don't think the Knicks played their best game either.
They shot 46% from 3.
I mean, I think Cat and Bridges both can play much better.
I agree. I also thought that OG was phenomenal. Like, you're not going to
Yeah,
expect that level of production out of him every night. I just think this was as bad as a game possibly could have gone for the Celtics. Like, literally, F Tatum game, F Brown game, F shooting game. Porzingis leaves the game early with illness, and we don't know what's going on with him. Like, so many things went so terribly wrong, and it still went to overtime. I think they should either win 4 straight from this point or win 4 out of 5. And, like, I'm not trying to disrespect
I
the Knicks.
wouldn't
I
be
just think the
surprised.
Celtics are
I
way
wouldn't be
better.
surprised if this went 7-2.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
You saw advantages for the Knicks that you think are sustained beyond this game.
Not a Celtics just kind of scaring me, man.
They have the propensity to have a game like
Just
this, but it's rare.
the fact that KP has not been anywhere close to the level of player that I think he needs to be. I think this is a really tough matchup for Tatum and Brown against both of these wings in Anunoby and Bridges. Like, I think they're going to have to work. I think that Cat can play better. I think Bridges can play better offensively. And I think the Knicks also have two bigs that can bang bodies with the Celtics bigs. And I think Mitchell Robinson and Luke Cornett minutes, I think it's advantage Knicks when Mitchell's out on the floor against him. So it's like, not that I think this is even, but if KP is going to be off or out of this series, that changes things for me. And Tatum and Brown have just been a little bit off, and I don't think this is an easy series for them. So my pick is still going to be the same. Celtics in, I think I picked Celtics in 6.
I think, didn't we both pick
No, maybe we went
Celtics in
Celtics in
5?
5. I would
I
probably,
still think Celtics in 5, I'm going to be honest.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing went 7. I'm going to say Celtics in 7.
I would be shocked if this went 7, and I do not agree that this is not a great matchup for Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Jayson Tatum versus the Knicks this regular season averaged 34, 7, and 7 on 69% true shooting. Like, he got whatever he wanted. Jaylen Brown also played super well. They blew them out in 3 of 4 regular season games, and they beat them in every one. They had like, what, a 133 offensive rating? Like, if there's anything that does encourage me for the Knicks from this game, it's that Brunson and Cat were able to hold up decently well on switches in the second half. But I still think that that is a big advantage for Tatum and Brown. And like, OG is a great defender. Absolutely. He cannot stay attached to Tatum every possession. I mean, they're
No,
willingly switching Cat
not.
onto him.
Of course
And
not.
I also don't think that Bridges is a good defender in this matchup. Like, both Tatum and Brown really went through in the regular season.
Turnover. I thought he played good defense down the stretch.
That was a really good play, but I think that there is a major strength advantage for both Tatum and Brown. Jayson Tatum shot like 73% when guarded by Mikal Bridges this season.
I think the Knicks are really feisty and have good hands, and I think they can get up in Tatum and Brown's dribble a little bit. And
they did in this game.
I think Tatum scares me. I don't know if he's going to keep settling like this and be so passive. Like, and I don't mean passive as in he's not taking shots. I mean passive and he's not being aggressive and getting downhill. And so that's where I think the Knicks. That's why I say I'm closer to 7. I still think the Celtics are going to win this one, but the Knicks really, really impressed me with this win and how they stayed in this game.
I would probably still set the over-under at 5.5. I think that the fact that it was this close in an F minus Celtics game speaks to how big the gap between these two teams is. And I didn't see a lot in this game that changes that other than the Celtics playing a miserable game by their own standards. Tatum, it's not the right approach. He was awesome last series, though, and I think he's the best he's been. And I think that he knows. I literally saw a post-game quote from him being like, yeah, I settled too much. I think that that'll change going forward, and the Celtics will be able to get some really great shots, and they'll be able to, again, make the Knicks work more on the other side, because I thought that they made both of the Knicks stars really work in this one.